Welcome to another episode of the WP Crowd. My name is Roy, as usual. Today we are talking about something that I think everyone kind of goes through as a web developer, as kind of a computer geek or tech consultant. And that is pro bono work, whether it's for nonprofits or even for friends and family. As usual, I'm going to start out with introductions. So I'm going to start with Cricket. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi, Roy. Thanks for having me on.
No problem.
This is great. I'm Cricket, and I have a web shop in Denver, Colorado called Booga Wooga Web Productions. And
Love the name. Love the name.
Thank you. It's been since 2001. And let's see, I discovered WordPress in 2008. And the community in 2013. And the last 2 years, I've moved more into project management. So I'm working on a productivity system for developers.
Nice.
Doing now.
Cool. And Joe.
Hey, I'm Joe Casabona. Hi, Roy. Thank you for having me on the show. I am a front-end developer at Crowd Favorite. I currently do courses over at WP in 1 month, and I host the podcast How I Built It. I have been freelancing since high school and still do that on the side a bit. So I discovered WordPress in 2004. I've been freelancing since 2002. And I have a lot of opinions on today's topic, so I'm glad to be here.
Nice. And just for all of you guys who are watching, Cricket and Joe, these are two first-timers with WP Crowd. I'm excited to have some new guests on our crowd. Yeah. And one of our lovely people you'll find from time to time, Shelly.
Hey, y'all. I'm Shelly Peacock. I'm outside of Nashville, Tennessee. I have a boutique little agency called the Spinberg Group. We do WordPress design, development, consultation, blah, blah, blah. Been doing this as a freelancer since 2009.
Cool. So the topic we're talking about is pro bono work, or more polite, or that's the polite way of just saying free work. And I'm sure we've all dealt with it. So I'm going to go around the room, and I want to answer the question. Really, the question I want to answer first is, when do you actually say yes to free work? And keep in mind, I'm keeping into the equation family and friends and then nonprofits, because those are the typical three big people. And if you think of another one, feel free to blot it out. But three big things that I usually encounter with free work. So Joe, why don't we start with you? You work for an agency, but you do some stuff on the side. How do you deal with pro bono work requests, and when are times you actually say yes to it?
Yeah, so I said yes early on in my career, but I was in high school, and my first job actually was paid. That's how I got into it. My church came to me and said, hey, can you make us a website? I said, I don't know how to. And they said, we'll pay you. And I was like, yeah. All right, well, if you'll pay me, I will make a website for you. But today, I have a lot of things going on, so I don't say no to free to be mean about it, but I can't necessarily dedicate time to it. So I will say free. I will say yes to free for immediate family. So my brothers, my parents, my wife, if she needs a website for some reason, or a worthy nonprofit cause, like you said, if it's really something I believe in and I can dedicate my, and that's the way I can make a contribution, I'll do that. And there's a lot of tools today to really help me with that. I'll probably use Beaver Builder to create a website because I don't have to code really any of it, and I have the license for it. So, but most of the time, especially if somebody's making money off of it, I'm not going to say yes to that. Or kind of adjacent to immediate family and friends, I will say no to that. My brother's fiance wanted a website for her spa, and I said no just because I knew that would strain our relationship. So I told her to go to, this might get bleeped, I told her to go to Squarespace and build a website that way. So
Awesome. And yeah, no, I definitely get the adjacent family, because I've definitely had friends of family who are basically family at that point, because they've been friends my entire life, who I'm just find some excuse to say no to them, but I do say no, really, because I know I'll either lack the time to actually dedicate what they want out of it, or they're just not going to get what they, what they want in the end. How about you, Cricket? Do you deal with pro bono work or pro bono requests?
This was really interesting to me because back in 2001 when I started, of course I did free projects. My first project was for a church, and it was just to prove myself. That was like my very first website. And I did several of those through the years, but I don't know when it happened, but at some point, maybe how I positioned myself or whatever, people stopped asking for free and paid me whenever they needed something. So that was really cool. I just really hadn't been asked at all by anyone kind of in my circle or family or anything. However, now I'm doing pro bono work because I'm getting something from it. And I think it's very important to know what you're getting from it. And in my personal case right now, I'm getting that other chance to prove myself. So I'm moving from web design and into project management, and I went after some free projects again, just to prove. So that's how I view the free jobs. You should probably get something in value from it. I mean, if you had to put it down in your books, what would it look like? So.
Yeah, no, the return on investment's huge.
Right.
I think it's the same reason that, Shelly and a lot of other people I know speak at WordCamps, right? We don't get paid to speak at WordCamps, but there could be a potential return on investment there of just name brand recognition, or, getting people to, getting people to know who you are. And even you might learn something out of it. So it's worth it.
I think it really matters where exactly you're at in your career. Like Joe, he's been doing it for so long, and like me. But if you're just starting out, or you're like a junior developer or something, you really might, it could be an awesome strategy to do some free projects. So.
Yeah, especially when the learning curve is big for something, there's always kind of that ethically murky water of, should I charge somebody to learn a new skill? I think I will say yes to that question sometimes. Like if somebody hires me to do a React project, I know enough about JavaScript that I think I can muddle my way through it. I might take a small hit on it for learning, but if you're starting out and just learning a brand new skill, it might be worth it to say yes, so you can learn that skill. But it's,
or in my case, I know the skill because I've used it over the last 4 years in my personal, managing my own clients and managing my own web development process with the team. And now it's okay, I know what it is and how to do it. So now I have to prove it, because that, I'd want to branch out into a kind of a new market. And yeah, it might be a good idea to do a free project if you want to learn, but that might be a personal project.
Yeah.
Throwing up a blog for yourself and doing
There's
if you're learning, because
Josh Pollock and there was someone else on the podcast. I think it was Steve. We had a podcast about value pricing, and that kind of played a big role in that too. It's not pro bono, but I will
I love value pricing.
I will change my value price if it's something I want to learn out of the whole thing. So there's definitely a trade-off there. So to answer the flip side of that question, something I've learned personally from Shelly more than anyone else is how to say no to clients.
Go Shelly.
I would never say no, and then I met Shelly, and she was like, her answer to me, to anytime I had a question of how do I say no, she would just say, send them an invoice. So
I like Shelly.
Yeah. So Shelly, let's answer the other side of the question. When you're getting pro bono work, and let's say it's a good cause, or it's your family or something, how do you propose the no? How do you say, no, I can't do this? Do you come up with an excuse like I do? Like I always come up with an excuse. I'm like, I got this and this, and I just don't have the time. Like,
that's what I say too. But I just say, guys, I'm sorry, my plate is completely full until next August of 2018, and there's just no way that I just don't have the bandwidth. I'm sorry. I would be glad to send you to somebody, or I'll be glad to talk you through Wix or Squarespace or whatever. But I've gotten really, really good in the last year at saying no. And but I do want to hit on the pro bono thing. You did mention WordCamps and Cricket. You also said about what you get from doing stuff for free. Every WordCamp that I've been to, I've picked up a client. In St. Louis, when I spoke last year, I picked up a client that paid for all of my travel last year 4 times. So it definitely, all that free stuff and travel and everything definitely made it worth it. But what I do, and I talk about this in one of my talks, is every December, I look for 2 pro bono projects just to give back. And every pro bono project that I have ever done in my life has warranted me new clients. One of the things that I do is I will do this project for you for free, and I just want to make sure that my tag's at the bottom of your footer, and now that's become a non-negotiable for me with any client, is if my link is not at the bottom of your thing, I won't do your site, because that's been a huge generator for me as well. But I held up this beer. It's 1:00 here in Cookeville, Tennessee, and yes, I'm drinking beer because of the pro bono project I did.
Why can't you be in Denver?
Because of the pro bono project I did this week. And it was, oh my God, in 3 days, we built a site, created a whole entire online store with Gravity forms, and launched it in 3 days. And it has been the week from hell. But this is one site I've already gotten 4 referral calls from it since we launched. So, to me, I don't go into it with what am I going to get out of it, but I know that paying it forward happens. So that's kind of.
And I've always said my experience is, I've had some bad ones, and with free work, some nightmares. And it's like you have to set out the boundaries. I mean, if you're going to do it, it could really impact your business, because if you're thinking for your business, it's whether or not you have to be truthful, whether or not you can even take something on.
Right.
They'll eat you alive if you let them. But it's exciting because I like bringing this to the world, because we have something special. We can make a website that is really something. Everyday people are like, "What? You do what?"
Yeah, I know.
They think it's magic.
Yeah.
And so I always kind of had the tendency to, I want to do you a free website because yours is terrible, and I just want all the websites to be great. That's how I started. I was so passionate.
That used to be my tagline.
Yeah, I was super prolific, but now I'm more of the business and what's smart and what can I take on, because like I said, how does it look in the books? But I also said I'm taking on some projects right now that are free, and I'm getting a lot out of them. So
yeah,
that's my perspective. It just goes across the timeline,
Free work doesn't put food on your table. That's the issue.
Right. Exactly.
I'm also curious how you guys handle free work. So I think one of my biggest issues in the past, especially with family, because it's really hard to make that distinction. But do you treat a free project like you do any other client? Do you create the same scope of work? Do you still harass them when they start with their scope creep? Because that's where it's like, if I create a scope of work for a free project and then you put scope creep on it, I'm like, well, what am I going to do? Charge them? I wouldn't charge them to begin with. So how do you guys handle maintaining free clients, or, while you're in that build process?
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I often say no to free work, right? Like, I don't know if you guys have ever seen Scrubs, but in the 8th season of Scrubs, there's a character, Denise. She's really blunt, and she tries to explain to this woman to just get her husband to DNR, and is real mean about it almost. Look, he's going to be in a lot of pain. And that's how I explain, that's how I say no to free projects. I'm just look, I'm not going to be able to dedicate the same amount of time that I would otherwise. You're going to get annoyed at me because I'm not doing your project. I'm going to get annoyed at you because you have these expectations. So when I do free work, I say, all right, we're going to sit down here. I'm not going to these are the boundaries. I need your content first. With my brothers, it was a little bit easier because they're my brothers and you can talk to them a certain way that you can't talk to other people. But, I'm going to be like, look,
Talk to
here's the
everyone
deal.
the same.
Well, we're all four of us are New York Italian, and so we're very together. And if it's not one of my brothers, I'll say, look, I do have these paying clients and these other paying projects. I don't know what if you have an absolute deadline, let me know and I'll get it done by then. But these are the things I can do for you, and I want you to know that it's something I will get done for you because I'm telling you I'm gonna do it for you, and I'm a man of my word. But it's not always going to be top priority for me, and I say that straight up because I do need to put food on the table for my wife and very soon my baby. I don't know if you guys see all the diapers in the background, but so.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, every time I deal with pro bono work, and sometimes, it makes me feel bad because I'll say I'll do something and then priority-wise, it just gets dropped to the bottom of the list. And they could, most of the time it's like they could, ask me to a cup of coffee and I'll do whatever it is they want while we're sitting there because it's really not that much work. A lot of times it's like, simple site tweaks, things like that I can do with WordPress in like minutes. But as soon as I get an email saying, hey, can you do this? I'm like, sure. And then I just, delete the email or archive the email. And then I never see it again till 3 weeks later. They're like, hey, about that thing that I asked you to do for free. And yeah, I shouldn't feel bad, but at the same time I do, because I did say yes. I did say, yes, I am going to do this. And I know for a fact it'll only take me a few minutes, but I can't conceivably give them those few minutes because I have my own, workload to deal with that, again, puts food on the table and takes care of the mortgage and things like that. So there's a trade-off there, and it's really hard to combat with. I do like Shelly's approach of just finding work just for giving back purposes, but even then, like, Shelly, how do you manage looking for work and then saying, hey, I want to do your site for free, but we're going to have boundaries here?
Yeah, they typically, usually the December ones so far have come to me. And so, for whatever reason, like I did a blogger that had breast cancer and she was having such extreme issues with that. She just really wanted to get her blog back up. So I did that. That's how I learned Genesis. So it was like, okay, I'll take this project and I'm going to do something different. Like Cricket said, the learning thing. But one thing that I lay out in the very beginning of, yes, I will do this for free, but you will answer every phone call. You will answer every text. If I need something now, you better drop whatever the hell it is you're doing and get it to me, or your project is going on the back of my stove and will probably fall behind it. So, I'm really, really tough about that up front is, I'll do it for free and we'll work together. And this is going to be the awesomest thing you've ever seen in your whole entire life. However, if you jack around with me, getting me content, that's the end.
Yeah, I think it helps to educate them a little bit about the fact that they have to have their skin in the game the whole time. If they're not considering that, and I manage it with just project management, but the whole ignoring you because they're not valuing the time and keeping it on. I've dealt with that too in the past. So
it relates actually
interesting.
Yeah, it relates to I know, Joe, you've done some teaching as well, but teaching in the community, or maybe not building someone a website, but as we're part of the WordPress community, I'm sure we've all been asked questions from people who don't know something and want our expertise and our opinion. And I've written about this a few times, but that's kind of pro bono work also, right? Like to sit down with someone and say, hey, you don't know, how to do a loop of posts. Let me teach you. I know that's not a full project, but it's still pro bono time. That's still me willing to give up my time to teach them, and I expect them to learn something because I need them to have skin in the game too. So there's a pretty good correlation there too, I think.
Well, we can't forget that we're in an open source community. I mean, it's all run by the community. The WordPress code is community. So that's an opportunity there as well for volunteering. And I guess you can get a little notoriety that way as well, maybe more than you can get from a client who needs a quick website, you know? So to me, pro bono is just free, and I just would hope it, for me personally, it's like I really like to give, and I'm really passionate about everything that WordPress can do and whatnot, but there's more to consider than just doing a free website. You could also use that time to give to the community, right? Or your own personal projects.
Yeah. I mean, it is about time, right? I mean,
Right.
you're spending your time on projects or teaching. I will generally, if somebody emails me out of the blue and asks me something, or asks me like 4 questions rapid fire, I'll answer the first one. I'll say I'm available on Clarity, which is a kind of a website that bills by the minute. Let's set up a 15-minute call and talk. And that's a website that it's great. Clarity.fm. Yeah. Chris Lemma told me about that website. Obviously. And so
monetizing your help is good.
I mean, it's consulting, right? And
you're helping them. Yeah.
Right. And that's been a great help, because the people who are like, I don't have that kind of money. First of all, I charge like $1.67 a minute. So like 15 minutes is $20 or something like that. Like I'm going to just tell you things I've learned over 15 years. If that's not worth $20 to you. But the other thing that Chris mentioned specifically is if he gets emails for questions, he will answer them and then turn them into a blog post, which is like his personal brand. So
Right.
I'll sit down. I'll usually give like one freebie to somebody who's asking me like, oh, how does this work? And if they ask me a million questions after that, I'm like, well, we should really set up a Clarity call. If the question is not how does this work, if it's can you write this code for me, I will say I bill at $80 an hour, so you can hire me for a project if you want me to write the code for you.
Yay, love it.
Yeah.
Good.
I got to do that more.
Good.
Yeah, it's tough. Like all the pro bono stuff, all the free basically stuff I do really does end up catching up to me sometimes, and it's just like, all right, now I got to clear my plate of all the free work I said I was going to give. It's just as hard as clearing your plate when you have paid work. If
You
not,
can even
even
get
harder.
a lot back out of all of that if you could go back to all of those and get something of value in return, whether social media or something like that.
Yeah.
Credit,
It's
testimonial, something. They owe you something.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's tough because we're in an open source community, and I feel like the mindset, if not everything should be free, which that is a mindset, but it's we want to help, right? We're all contributors. I speak at WordCamps because that's the way I contribute, right? I've never committed to core, even though I write a lot of code. I'm like afraid to, like I have like the fear.
Imposter syndrome.
Yeah, exactly. But I talk a lot, as I've probably demonstrated. And so that's my way of giving back. And so when somebody when somebody comes to me and they want help, I want to help them. But I also need to think like, hey, I gotta do this, or my full-time job is paying me to do this, and you gotta prioritize things the right way. And I hate to say money talks, but it's easy to deprioritize free or someone who's paying you but doesn't care, right? Like that's the other thing. Because even like clients who don't have skin in the game, even if they're paying for you, it's easy for that to fall off the end of my queue. I'm like, well, I mean, they've given me a check. If they don't care that they've given me money and they're not communicating, I can only put so much effort into this because I have clients who are paying me and also care.
This is cool because this might be a whole different conversation if we were a different group. Because I mean, if you're starting out or you're mid-level, I feel like it's a complete different game when it comes to taking on the pro bono. You want it, you need it, you've got to get your portfolio out there and you have to work, you know. But this conversation is a little different because I don't know, Joe, you've been at it since when? 2004 or something?
Yeah, 2002 was my
2009,
first.
2000. So I can clearly see that, like, when you get to a certain level, you really it's time to get paid. Like it's like, hey.
Yeah, but if anything, this will actually show our listeners that, or people that are viewing, that no matter what level you're at, one, you're still going to get asked for pro bono work all the time, if not more so, because they respect who you are and what you do.
There's opportunities for people like with me right now with the project management. I'm open. I'm looking seriously at valuable projects that I could do this with. So
yeah, but that's interesting because you and Shelly are both actually actively, maybe on some, there's obviously a cap there, but you guys will actively look for pro bono work, while almost no matter what meetup I go to, I get asked for in impolite manners for pro bono work,
I know that's so weird because I don't. And this is the first time in a long time that I've actually looked.
Yeah, I only do that in December. And that's like the magic month for looking for it. The rest of the time,
I like that strategy you have of picking like 2 projects a year. Or is December because of budget meetings and things like that?
Well, December, until this past December, which I was so slam packed I didn't get to do it until January. But in the past Decembers have always kind of been wrap up with everything, and mid-December, I'm done with my projects and everybody's into Christmas and blah, 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 so I get bored and it's like, well, okay, I need something new to do. And that's how, that's why I took the opportunity to learn Genesis, because I wanted to learn Genesis. I'm still using that exclusively. And, that was my opportunity. And she contacted me through a friend. So, stuff like that. I just like to do stuff like that in December because it feels good. It's something that I can do instead of I can go shopping and buy so-and-so this and that, who needs
I love it. It's a great idea. I think I might do that in December.
So I'm curious, Shelly, since you do it in December, if it's an actual nonprofit, do you take tax exemption against it for the hours or some portion of hours?
Of course.
Of course. Is that another reason you do it in December?
Anyone a tax lawyer? How's that work?
I shoot them an invoice and zero it out at the bottom, so I keep records of it. And also, one thing I've done 4 nonprofits that are local here, and they've all been, like I said, huge referral machines. I mean, it's insane because with nonprofit organizations, they're so grateful that you do it that they're going to talk way more than your brother-in-law will or whatever. They're just going to really, oh man, this is so awesome. Especially if you knock it out of the ballpark with a kick-ass website, So
I think that if you do take a free project, you should go big and you should do your very best work.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
See, yeah, that's the problem is when I deprioritize free work, it's like, yeah, I'll do it, but you might not get my A quality code out of it. Also, I mean, more of my pro bono asks aren't whole websites. They're like, hey, I have a whole piece of functionality I need added because you're a developer. I'm assuming you can do this, so can you do this for me? Or really how I get asked is, how can I do this, right? That's the question. That's what gets them in the door with me. How do I do this? Which really is, can you code this for me? But they don't want to ask that. They want to ask you, how do you do it? Which then in turns me showing them all the code. And then they eventually come back to me saying, hey, your code doesn't work. There's an error here. Can you check out my implementation? And next thing I know, I'm just coding it for them. So it's a little bit different. I don't get whole websites as much as I used to, but I do get a lot of pieces of functionality. And some of them are pretty big considering I try to keep my name around REST API, Angular, and React kind of stuff. Like, it gets pretty hectic sometimes, but I pick and choose. Again, I do like taking pro bono stuff where I will get something, even just learning experience out of it. Hey, I'm going to do this for you because I want to prove to myself I can do it. Might be one way, my justification, I guess, for it.
Yeah. I as recently as like last year got I can't pay you, but this will look really good in your portfolio. I was like,
right?
friend, I've been
Yes.
in business longer than I've been making websites longer than your business has been around. I don't need a portfolio piece.
I'm an internet native. I'm not- Portfolio?
Yeah.
20
Yeah.
years.
I'm already internet famous.
I've also gotten like, well, we can't pay you in money, but like we'll give you like 3 free skydives. And I'm like, I can't pay rent with skydiving, first of all. Second of all, that is the least appealing.
Trying to kill me. They're trying to
Yeah.
kill you. Like you're.
I have bartered for 2 things in my life, and that is cigars, because I will buy them anyway. And Yankee tickets, because again, I will buy those anyway. So
I like a good barter story.
yeah, right.
I barter too.
Like there was a cigar shop in
Thrift.
Scranton, which I lived there for a while, and the owner was like, "Hey, we need a website. Can we pay you in half cash and half gift card to here?" And I was like, "Yes, yes, I
I
will
got
spend
paid in
that
toilet
money."
paper once from a band, a local band.
Really?
Paid me
Oh
in
wait,
toilet
did you really? Can you
They
please
paid
tell
me in
that
toilet
story?
paper. I mean, I had an office. We called
Yeah.
it the Booga House. And I was like, bring like 2 big containers of toilet paper, and then I'll see you in 2 hours. And they met me at the office. And it was so funny because that's how I kind of kept the office stocked. Because I had a lot of those types of people.
For like quick projects, as I said, I don't mind meeting up with someone for coffee or lunch, and then I'll hammer out some code. So then, yeah, I guess the trade-off there is the free meal.
Those were like
Yeah.
the solid days, like super fun days. It was like, bring me
Yeah.
a Red Bull, a little thing of,
It's like
right?
prison
I mean,
bartering.
this was way back at the beginning when this is so fun.
You should challenge them, though. I mean, it should be like, bring me like the left eye of.
I love a good barter. So
Yeah.
this is great because now I'm thinking, what else could I?
When I was up
I
in
will barter for diapers right now. I will
Oh,
barter.
you will for the next 3 years.
Yeah.
when I lived in San Francisco, I did some pro bono work for the SF Bike Coalition, and they gave me like 2 years membership, which wasn't even that much money. It was like $30 or $40 a year anyway. But I was like, you know what, fine, that's fine by me. I really respected their cause at the time. But with the
VIP, I'm VIP now.
yeah, but with the membership, you get besides all the stickers and stuff, you get certain and this is like within San Francisco, the coalition of super hipsters. So if you go to
I'm from up there.
So if you get hipster, I was born and raised in San Francisco.
Oh yay, Marin County here.
Nice. But there's like certain grocery stores, right? That if you showed them your SF Bike Coalition card, they'd give you 5% off, 10% off, or they'd give you like a smoothie or something, a wheatgrass shot or whatever. So that was one of my cool like things. And they ended up using some of my design work. Not that I'm a designer by any means, but some of my design work ended up at their what was it? The parade. I think it was the one of the parades they were a part of. They actually used some of my art for their like banners and stuff. So I was like, oh, cool. My name wasn't on it, but it's cool that it got there. I was happy about that. So yeah, I don't mind doing trades every once in a while, but it would really
Those
have
are
to.
good ones. Like those are fun ones.
Yeah. Again, I really respected the cause, so I didn't really care.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Shelly.
No, I'm getting ready to do one that he's going to pay me with a new MacBook Pro. So yeah,
That's definitely a good barter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because for those, that's almost a tax write-off for him too for buying equipment for his.
That's a good deal, really good deal. That's something.
This is the guy that I used to work for, and it's my funny story at the beginning of my talk of how I got into this. But I actually worked for him as a web person before I started my own thing, and his wife is in Escobar, and they got deported to Colombia. And so now that's the face I always get, Joe's face. But now he's back and he's ready to get back into web. And I'm like, dude, I'm not working for you. Don't really want you on my phone or anything. That's cool. Because I'll send you a computer. I'm like, I'll do it. Never mind. I'll take it.
Don't send me anything.
The computer that fell off the back of a truck. All right, I'm going to call it there. Thank you guys for joining us. As usual, if you are watching on YouTube, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Check us out, our website, wpcrowd.com, as well as I am now teaching with Josh Pollock at calderalearn.com. We have a new, I guess, pro bono video series out, picking out the right JavaScript framework to use with the REST API. We have a few more series that are coming out pro bono in the next few weeks. As well as we are doing live webinars and recorded courses. So check out calderalearn.com. And as usual, I will see you guys next week. Thank you guys for joining.